I want to share a story with you from a book that I've been reading. It's a wonderful biography on the life of Jalaluddin Rumi, a man I find very dear to me and very appropriate for this particular time that we're living in. I just happened to scroll to one page, picked it up and started reading, and I was blown away, and I said, I've got to share this with you. So Rumi shares a story in the Mathnawi about a group of boys, young boys, who were tired of class. They were just bored of class, as boys would be and girls would be. So they thought, how do we come up with a way where we don't have to have this teacher anymore, so we could do whatever we want, basically. And so one of the young cunning pupils suggested the following. So he says, so this is the line of the poetry. It says, the cleverest boy in the class made a plan to tell the teacher, you look so pale. I hope you are well, but you've lost all color. I'm wondering if it's the weather or fever. The teacher began to have his doubts. Then the clever boy told another, do the same. After all 30 students expressed concern, the teacher hurries home and stays in bed, shivering. Rumi's glee in the prank obviously came from siding with the students and made believable and even more That's a very powerful story of the power of suggestion, and it's been used throughout the ages to convince people. And this thing called bias that we have this process where we have confirmation bias. So if someone says something to you and you hear it repeatedly, eventually you're going to start believing that. So that's really wonderful if you want to get your child, if you don't want to do any schoolwork and you want to, mess around at school and make your teacher feel a little sick. And in fact, the teacher did end up having a fever and spending time at home. And I think the important lesson that I want to tell you is that there's one way of convincing people that they're not well, but there's another way of changing the situation where you convince people that they are well. And if 30 people tell you that you're looking so well, that you're looking so healthy, it has an effect. So here's the thing. If you're trying to convince a population or your family, for instance, that you're well, knowing the detrimental effects it will have on you, if you tell them continuously that you're not well and you're not well, my neighbor's friend in Rwanda died of something or the other, how is that reinforcing your body's ability to heal, to grow, to feel safe? It's not. And what I see right now happening in the media, sad as it is a lot of fear-mongering. And so, this constant reminder of what's going on and how bad things are. And that may be the case, but here's the thing. If you're concerned about people's well-being, as governments claim to be, then I would focus on improving their immune health. I would focus on improving their well-being. I would actually highlight the good points, the recoveries rather than the deaths. I wouldn't be exaggerating one thing instead of the other. I would give people hope rather than live in fear. And you wouldn't need all of this in reality if you looked around you and everything was fine. If you looked around you and everything was fine, would you need to go onto social media and to the news outlets? No, because you look around you and say, look, I'm fine. My family's fine. We've had a cold. We recovered from it. I don't know of any neighbors that are just dying. I mean, I don't know if you've seen pictures of plagues, but it's another story altogether. You don't need anyone to tell you to stay at home. You don't need any convincing. You don't even need to turn the TV on. You'll just be like, guys, we're not going anywhere. This stuff is serious. But when it's not there and you need, for instance, if this was the old days and needed someone to come in to knock on your door and say, listen, someone on the other side of the globe has died, be careful, stay in your house. The logical thing would be, well, I'm safe. Oh no, but this is a global situation. All right, well then where's the proof? Show me. But they don't have that. And so they're exaggerating one particular dialogue. And if you say anything that contradicts that is called fake news. So if you ask for facts and you ask for substance about what's really going on, say, well, that's fake news, you can't report that. Then where's democracy? Where's the independence to be able to say what you want to say and make your own decisions? When you start censoring doctors and people like that and preventing the message from getting out there, I mean, if the proof is that clear, why do you need to censor it? All you'd have to do is make sure people don't panic, people stay calm. And here's the most important thing. Focus on improving your own immune health. Focus on understanding the power that suggestion has. If you constantly repeat something, that you're going to start believing it. So get 30 people to say on the media outlets about how people are recovering, how well they're doing, and how amazingly resilient human beings are. But I see none of that, you know. And what about the health benefits of taking certain supplements? There's been thousands of tests done, fortunes spent on alternative treatments to various kinds of ailments that they've cured. As we know, cancer and all these type of horrible diseases that don't have any cure, people then go within and they do natural medicine and they take multivitamins. There's been studies done on vitamin D that's been raved about, but you're not seeing them promoting this. You know, it's this constant reinforcement about the fear, and fear destroys you. Here's the other thing. If you're being chased by a tiger and running your ass off, and I come to you and say, hey buddy, what's wrong with you? You'd say, what do you mean? Are you not seeing the tiger? And you say, there actually is no tiger. You think I've got time to look back? I'm running like crazy, right? So if you look at it, all that we're driven by right now is fear. And fear resides at the bottom, if you look at it from an energy point of view. And so all the energy is in our legs, in the survival, in getting away. We don't have time to sit here and evaluate whether this makes sense or doesn't make sense, because that's in the brain. If you look at the distance from your legs to your brain, it's very far up. Right now, you've got all the blood in your legs, and you just want to get away, because this thing is real. How do you know? Well, because this is what we've been told, right? And if I come to you and say, but look, there is no tiger behind you. Look, can you see anything? You don't have time for that. So I'm asking you to take a moment of stillness, of calmness, and think with this, and not with fear. And allow yourself to make your own logical conclusions of what's really going on. Do we really need to convince people to do something if the evidence was overwhelming? And do we need to call anything else that asks you to think by yourself as fake news a logical thing to do? I don't think so. And I don't think that the solution that they're proposing, as we always propose when we're not well, is go to the doctor, take an antibiotic, get an antidepressant. I mean, the use of antidepressants in the US alone has gone up by 35% during this period because of fear. So imagine this on a global scale where we're just feeling depressed, we're feeling fearful, we can't leave the house, not getting any fresh air. What's going to be our alternative? You think people are going to start doing deep breathing exercises and meditation and focusing on love? No, they're going to be taking tablets because the fear is overwhelming. And if I tell you enough times that there's a tiger chasing you, you're going to believe me. And once that fear sets in, it's very difficult to change that point of view. There's this wonderful movie called Apocalypto. I think you should watch it. There's a scene in the movie where a particular village has been ravaged, and these people are walking through, and the son and the father, along with the tribe, meet with them. And they say, the son asks the people that came from the ravaged tribe, what happened over there? Tell me. And they had such fear in their faces. They were overwhelmed with fear. It was just stifling them. And the father said, son, stop. And the son was like, what do you mean? I just want to know. He said, do not bring that to us. If you bring that to the village, we're finished. Just don't ask. Let it pass by. Now, some people, of course, then the other thing is, well, that's irresponsible. But there's nothing happened to your village. You're absolutely safe. So why not embrace that? The president of Tanzania was hilarious. Quite an intelligent man who's a qualified doctor as well. So he got the lab to process some tests of various samples that he sent to the lab. He didn't tell them what he gave them, and they assumed because of what he wrote, 28-year-old female, 45-year-old male, all the rest of it. But what he did was he extracted from different fruit. So he extracted from a papaya, he extracted from a goat, which is another animal, and from one other thing, sent it to the lab and marked it as humans and then specified those details. 3 out of 4 of the results came back as positive that those things had it. And of course, this is going to cause an outrage, and people don't want to see that. And he said, this is a swindle. I'm not buying into this. And that's the thing. I mean, if the testing is flawed, then what's really going on here? Because we're relying on all of this, on proof that, look, there's been a test done, and this is what's been encountered, even though nobody's died. So we're totally basing this entire thing on a test that's not measuring accurately. And everybody will tell you that we have never done this in history. When you're attacked by something from within us, you don't hide away because it's part of you. If you think about it, where is the most clinical, cleanest place in the world? It's hospitals, right? You go there, it's totally hygienic, constant use of disinfectants and detergents and alcohol, gloves and masks and protection layers and all that type of thing. What do you find in hospitals? Superbugs, bugs that have mutated so much because the environment around them can't balance these bugs because we balance the bugs. But if the bugs are not able to do their thing and balance the ecosystem around us, they gain strength, they start mutating. So by keeping us all covered up for so long, what's going to happen when we take all our masks off? And so what is the solution then? Because we haven't, all we're doing is hiding away. We haven't actually looked at our immune systems and how to strengthen that, keep our elevated emotions. What's going to come of it when we're finally exposed to hospital-like conditions? And so at that point, the only solution we're going to have is a very extreme one. And you know what they're proposing. I don't know if you've seen these adverts on television for smoking and for car accidents and drunk driving. They're very gory, horrific, instill tremendous fear in you, and would hopefully prevent you from doing these things. I'm not seeing the same type of thing. I mean, would you even need that? But let's say you were really concerned about the people, you'd be showing them evidence that is verifiable and say, look, independently confirmed by 2,000 different studies that morgues are full. People are just, we don't have any more grave room anymore. There's no place anymore. But you're not seeing that. Why is that?